sell for any price. I give this away. This is called jewelweed or touch-me-not. It produces a beautiful orange speckled bloom. In another couple of months, they'll start blooming. And this is probably the best known poison ivy cure known to man, my personal opinion. I've had hundreds of people come to me for this plant, and you crush it into a poultice, and it actually turn you green, but it will knock poison ivy out overnight. It will dry it up. You can use it for eczema, poison oak, poison ivy. But they'll get probably 4 foot tall and have the orange blooms. The best time to do it is when it's blooming with the orange, with the flower. And it's called touch-me-not due to the fact that the blooms are loaded with seed. And when, if you was to walk through a patch of this when they're mature and getting ready to seed, the plant thinks it's going to die, so it shoots its seeds out. And actually, almost sounds like a rattlesnake because it's shooting all these seeds out with such propulsion, it almost makes a rattle. But it's one of my favorite plants, and I just take the leaves off and put them in a blender with a little bit of water, and then put the poultice on your poison ivy. Or actually, since poison ivy blooms in the spring, what I like to do is actually make it into a liquid and put in ice cube trays to where I have it for the spring. Because that's when poison ivy is the worst, when it's pollinating. So I'll make ice cube trays and have it ready for spring. But this is one of my all-time favorite plants, is jewelweed or touch-me-not. This is what we call the dwarf spiderwort. Hopefully we'll be able to find what we call the giant purple spiderwort that stands almost 2 foot tall. But it'll grow in groves, but this is known as spiderwort. The dwarf spiderwort, the white, but this is a really good crop of it right here in one location. Can you get a close-up of the flower? Right here. It's a beautiful snow white blossom. But that's a grove of spiderwort, dwarf white. A blooming slick bark hickory tree. One of the only trees I know to actually have a bloom. We're almost a couple of weeks too late. It's still blooming. But you can tell by looking at the bark that it's slick bark. Now this is the hickory that you would smoke food with, make axe handles, hoe handles. And it's also, on the more mature trees, you go down to the base and the old timers would actually, underneath the ground, you will have a right and left handle. You dig the base up and you see if that root is turning right or left. If you was ever wondering, when you see somebody with the old plow, and you see that curved handle, it's from this hickory. And you might have to dig several up down to the base to see if it's a right or left handle, but they grow that way, naturally. So you just dig it up, cut it off, and sand it down, and then you make your plow handles out of the rest of the tree, but they have a right handle and left handle, which is pretty neat for nature to make it itself. But this is one in bloom, and as far as I know, no other tree blooms this type of bloom for a hardwood tree. And then its family is called the scaly bark hickory, which the tree actually looks dead because the bark flakes, huge flakes off the side. And it is used for making weaving chair seats. I've woven chair seats out of it, or all your basket weaving out of hickory. And you can actually, they have a score, what they call a scoring knife. So you can do a 60-foot tree and score it and pull the bark up on the scaly bark and flip it up and roll it up in bundles. And then when you're ready to use it for weaving, soak it in water and actually weave your chair seats or back of your chairs. But that's what it's used for. And like I say, this one is for smoking food or farm implements, tools. And this is known as trillium. Don't know the medicinal uses. State of Arkansas has got over 17 different colors. It can be yellow, pink, white, but ours is a brown. This stem will turn brown, and this is really an outstanding, huge specimen right here. It's unusual to find trilliums this large, but they're a beautiful plant, and it's in full bloom. And it's unusual for it to, usually they grow in groves, but this is a solitary in some rich ground that is really doing well. But it's called trillium. This here just sprouting up, and this is the time of year for it. And this is poke salad. We'll take these poke salad leaves probably in another week. Just take the tops off. Just the top soft leaves of the poke salad, and we boil it 3 times and the water will turn green. You kind of boil the green out of it, and then we actually take that and scramble it with eggs. A lot of people still prize picking poke salad, and it's usually where ground is disturbed. It might not grow there at all, but if you dozed out some land, it'll come up, just take the place over. But it usually come up every year, and then the spring of the year, this is when it's at its best, when the top leaves are tender, and that's poke salad. Now, when it matures, it can get up over 7 foot tall and produces a purple berry. The Food and Drug denounces saying that it's poisonous, but some of the old mountain guys still say that the pokeberry is good for cancer. And I do have known people to use it as such. I've never tried the berries, but, and I surely won't say to try it. I'm just saying the old mountain men that I used to know, they believed in it. So you can see this right here. This is the old, actually the old stalk to last year's poke salad. That's how big the stalks can get. Like I say, you can get up to 7 foot tall. But this is a young crop of poke salad. This here is called witch hazel. I can remember people from Missouri coming down in the spring. My father really used to dislike it. They would come and strip all the leaves off the witch hazels. They grow all up and down the creeks here, and strictly used in cosmetics. Now this is the one plant, as far as the stinging nettle I showed you. If you crush this leaf and put it on, it'll stop it from causing all that severe pain. But since they have synthetic stuff for cosmetics, it's not used anymore. Some local people will still use it because it's really good for the skin. But there's just hundreds of thousands of these up and down the creeks. But I'm sure about everybody's heard at one time someone mention witch hazel. But this is what it is right here. You just take the leaves and crush them up and try to get the juice out of them, and then rub it on your stinging nettle, and it'll stop it. from burning you.